Hey guys, so before I start this video, I have an announcement to make. Ever so recently, I just purchased a Pepsi Blue from Thailand, and this thing is rare beyond rare. There are many empty cans out there for sale on eBay, but this was the only bottle available that was still sealed and full, and I won't tell you guys exactly how much I paid for this, but it was a lot. So, I would ask, especially all of my most loyal, consistent fans, if anybody that's watching this video for the life of me could please consider donating maybe $5 or $10 to help sponsor this item. I could sure use you guys' help. Eventually, I do plan on opening this thing up, and I'm thinking about doing an ingredient scan with original Pepsi Blue from the States and doing a taste test comparison of these two, figuring out what the differences are, if there are any. After all, it's a complete mystery to me. I've never even seen the ingredients on Thailand Pepsi Blue, so it's something I'm very excited for. And with that said, you guys, enjoy the video. Thank you. What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to a brand new episode of Maximus the Fourth. What I have to your guys' left is an original vintage Pepsi Vanilla straight from 2003. And what I have to your guys' right is a modern day can of Pepsi Vanilla. The title of today's video is going to be what would happen if you drank an original Pepsi Vanilla next to a modern day fresh one. All I plan on doing today is opening both this vintage Pepsi Vanilla bottle and modern day can, doing a taste test comparison, letting you guys know exactly what I think about it. But before I do that, I'm going to walk you guys through the entire history of Pepsi Vanilla. And trust me, if you click on this video and you see how long it is, I don't know, if it turns out to be 18, 19 minutes, even 20 minutes, trust me, do not sleep on me. This is a story that you definitely would want to know, and it's going to get hot, trust me. There's a lot to know about the history of Pepsi Vanilla, and it's going to get good. But after I do the story of Pepsi Vanilla, I'm actually going to do an ingredient scan of both the original and the modern day can, seeing if there's any differences that have changed over the years from the original to the modern day one. And then, for the most part, I will open both of these, do a taste test comparison, let you guys know exactly what I think. So with that said, let's get into the story. Here we go. First of all, before I get into the story, I have to give a huge shout out and major credit to DJ Glowing Ice, my buddy at Industrial Industries World Radio. After all, he is the complete ambassador and founder of the complete story of Pepsi Vanilla, and really is the one who did all the hard work, all the digging in the first place to figure this all out. So if this video ends up doing very well, I want to make sure to give credit where it is due. And I will make sure to leave the link of DJ Glowing Ice's video down in the description of this video of the story of Pepsi Vanilla. So if you do watch this video and you enjoy it, make sure to check out my buddy's video. Thank you. And before I get into the story completely, I must let you guys know that an original Pepsi Vanilla is one of the most incredibly rare, highly sought after, and very hard to find Pepsi items on the planet. Trying to find one of these things is like trying to pull a tooth from an alligator's mouth. And if you do happen to get the tooth pulled out, you're most likely to get your whole freaking hand bit right off in the process. Let's do this. Pepsi Vanilla was first released in 2003 in order to compete with Vanilla Coke, which came out in 2002. Pepsi Vanilla's initial first run lasted for 5 years, all the way up until 2008, and then it was cut and discontinued. Once Pepsi Vanilla was discontinued, nothing happened for a very long time as far as the original stuff, but along the way there were actually some variants, which is Pepsi Cherry Vanilla. This had actually first come out in 2010, and then it was discontinued and came back out in 2015 for the holiday seasons, and then it was cut and discontinued once again, then came back out once again in 2016 for Valentine's Day. And then up until 2019, it was still on stores, and once you got around to 2023, you could still find it in some bargain websites like eBay. I think there was one seller that was dealing this, and then Amazon, which is where I bought my 12 pack when I did my Pepsi Cherry Vanilla 12 pack challenge. But for the most part, this stuff might be discontinued in most regions, and the only report I've ever received was from Chris Dreyer, one of my most loyal fans. Actually told me he had spotted some Pepsi Cherry Vanilla at Target, but because he did not know how rare it was, he didn't pick it up or anything. Now, if you rewind a couple years back, in 2014, there was what was called Pepsi Vanilla made with real sugar, which was a Pepsi Vanilla variant that was in PepsiCo's line of Pepsi made with real sugar. This first came out in 2014, and it pretty much lasted all the way up until 2018, and ever since then it's been discontinued, completely cut out and dry, really cannot be found anywhere. But then finally in 2019, after an 11-year layoff, the actual real Pepsi Vanilla finally came back. And then, just 1 year later, in 2020, there was an aluminum shortage. And because of this, Pepsi went to some of their side products, in Pepsi Vanilla was one of them, and they had to cut back how much they were producing a lot. And you were still seeing some Pepsi Vanilla around in some areas, but it just wasn't near as robust and sporadic as it once was. Now, if you fast forward about 2 years later, at the beginning of 2022, Pepsi had taken a completely different route, and they had released what was called Nitro Pepsi. This included both the original flavor of Pepsi and Pepsi Vanilla. And this gave consumers a whole new world and dimension of the Pepsi experience, because Nitro Pepsi was infused with nitrogen instead of using the regular carbon dioxide that we all know as of today. And these actually have regulators at the bottom of the cans to regulate the foam, because it comes out to be a lot more like beer type of fizz than carbon dioxide, which is really foam, not fizz. Now, by the end of 2022, it had appeared that the actual legit Pepsi Vanilla might have been discontinued. You couldn't ever hardly find it on eBay. I don't think anyone had the idea to sell it, or was even aware of how rare it was. But you could find it on Amazon, which I never did buy. But I went to go look on Amazon one day, pretty much at the end of 2022, in 2023, you couldn't find it anymore. So it appeared that it really might have been discontinued, but nobody really knew for sure. And we don't know this for sure, but I do agree with my buddy D.J Glowing Ice. The absolute darn near discontinuation, complete eradication of Pepsi Vanilla could have been because of Nitro Pepsi Vanilla. This could have been what actually caused the actual Pepsi Vanilla to go way down in sales, because, let's face it, both regular Nitro Pepsi and Nitro Pepsi Vanilla did very well in the very beginning, and to this very day, it is still on the mainstream. So a Nitro Pepsi Vanilla Draft Cola is really actually the complete universal Pepsi Vanilla as we know today that almost anybody can get their hands on in the region of the whole entire states. But as enough time finally went by, I think it was around February, March, maybe April or May of 2023, a fan of mine that goes by the name of Shamrock Films had actually made a report to me that you can still find Pepsi Vanilla in the Upper East Coast. And as enough time has gone by, I've actually noticed there have been a handful of sellers, maybe 4 or 5 of them, that are actually trying to sell Pepsi Vanilla. And so what I did is I messaged each and every last one of the sellers to find out which different states they were from. And I think there were like 2 or 3 guys that were from New Jersey, and then there was one guy that was from Pennsylvania, and then there was another guy from Massachusetts. So I can confirm to you that Pepsi Vanilla can still be found in those 3 different states. And if you are to find it in other states that don't have it directly, it's going to be convenience stores that are calling Pepsi directly, knowing which locations of PepsiCo to call to make special orders. And I actually originally had found like 16 bottles of Pepsi Vanilla in California in this very obscure gas station that is pretty much bordered between Oregon and California. And even the store employee told me that they had to call Pepsi directly and order it specially because it's so hard to find. So if you are thrifty enough, it's very likely that you could look up a Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey PepsiCo headquarters, call them directly, and ask to make an order of Pepsi Vanilla if you want it bad enough. But I have actually done a taste test of Nitro Pepsi Vanilla next to actual Pepsi Vanilla, and I would say that Nitro Pepsi is actually about 80% of what the actual Pepsi Vanilla actually is. And if you are in a pinch and you need yourself some Nitro Pepsi Vanilla, some Pepsi Vanilla, the Nitro version of it is actually a pretty dang good alternative. But if you're used to your carbon dioxide, it's not going to satisfy you in even close as much as a normal one would. Now that I have given you guys, for the most part, the complete story on Pepsi Vanilla, now we're going to scan the ingredients between this vintage bottle and modern day can, and we're going to find out if anything has changed over the years, or if Pepsi Vanilla is the same. In whatever is different, we're going to talk about what's different and try to break it down as best as we can. And for those of you nerds out there, you are welcome to take a look at the ingredients of both. And if you really want to go far, go ahead and pause that video and scan those ingredients and kind of figure it out for yourself. Boom. So that said, let's get into the ingredients scan. Here we go. So, they both have carbonated water at ingredient number 1. At number 2, they both have high fructose corn syrup, except the vintage Pepsi Vanilla has and or sugar, so there might be some regular sugar in this one as well as high fructose corn syrup. This one only has HFCS. At ingredient number 3, they both have caramel color, and at ingredient number 4, they both have natural and artificial flavor. But the original Pepsi Vanilla has phosphoric acid at ingredient number 5, whereas, yeah, they both have natural and artificial flavor at ingredient number 4. And then they both have phosphoric acid at ingredient number 5. So up to this very point, they're almost completely identical. And to argue any other way would be kind of stupid. Now, moving along, this is the very first difference. At ingredient number 6, the original one has potassium benzoate, whereas the modern day one has potassium sorbate. And potassium benzoate is to preserve the freshness, and potassium sorbate is also to preserve the freshness. So these are really just two different chemicals that are probably just as effective as the either one. So for the most part, even at ingredient number 6, pretty much the same thing. Oh my gosh. And at ingredient number 7, holy crap, they both have potassium citrate. Man. And at ingredient number 8, they both have citric acid. At ingredient number 9, they both have caffeine. Oh my gosh. These are way closer than I thought they were in the beginning. I am blown away. You got to think that in theory, they might have used potassium sorbate in the new one instead of potassium benzoate to preserve the freshness. Maybe because there's some laws that changed. I don't know. It's just a theory. But there's no point in arguing either way. Still very close to the same thing. So far, the first 9 ingredients of these both are very, very close. Very close. Now, let's take a look at the distinct differences between these two. So, for the modern day Pepsi Vanilla, that was it. The only ingredients that are left is actually 2 ingredients that the original one had that the modern day one didn't. And that is vanilla extract. I'm going to open this bottle in this video and find out how it tastes, but that could have given Pepsi Vanilla Complete Original a whole new dynamic of taste that the modern day one might not have had. We don't know yet, but we'll find out. And then the original one had ascorbic acid and calcium to sodium, EDTA, to protect the flavor. So in all reality, because of those 2 ingredients that the original one has that the modern day one doesn't, I would probably say that this one was more than likely made just a little bit better. And really the only difference is that the store life of this one was probably better than the modern day one. Very close though. These are almost exactly the same. And now that I have shared with you guys the complete story of Pepsi Vanilla and done the ingredient scan, it is time for the moment of truth. What would happen if you drank an original Pepsi Vanilla next to a modern day fresh one? Let's do this. My gosh, this thing is from 2003, from the original release year, and this thing has not been opened up for 21 years. Oh my gosh. I kind of don't want to open this thing because they're so freaking ridiculously hard to find. But I am not DJ Glowing Ice. I am not a soda collector. Yes, I have a lot of soda because I'm a seller and a reviewer, but I am not a collector. So opening this is much more important for me and way more my style. So let's do it. I can't believe this is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a live vintage Pepsi Vanilla. Oh my freaking word, that is so good. Oh my gosh. Before I continue, let you guys know exactly what I think about the taste test. Let's ask a question. Why is a vintage Pepsi Vanilla so rare? Well, if you take a vintage Pepsi Blue and compare them, you would think that an original Pepsi Blue is more rare than an original Pepsi Vanilla, because Pepsi Blue only had a 2-year lifespan from 2004 to 2000, from 2002 to 2004, whereas Pepsi Vanilla had a 5-year lifespan, which lasted from 2003 to 2008. But it's actually not true. The Pepsi Vanilla is much more rare, and here's why. When Pepsi Blue Original was discontinued, something big happened. It didn't get discontinued because of poor sales or that because people didn't like it. It was because of a highly controversial coloring agent at the time, Blue Number 1. So because of that, this got discontinued because it was banned in most countries. Blue Number 1 was banned in most countries, whereas Pepsi Vanilla, it was around for 3 years longer, yes. But people really did overlook this soda. There might not have been a lot of people that even bought it. People were more than likely probably used to original Pepsi. And so when original Pepsi Vanilla was discontinued, it more than likely probably just caught people off guard. And it's very possible that people might not have even noticed that it was discontinued. But it has literally taken me 13 or 14 months, well over a year, to flag one of these things down, to be even for me to be able to do this video today. And this bottle actually came from a seller that goes by the name of Jim off of eBay. He actually bought this bottle way back when in 2003, and he is the only other owner to have ever had this. And so I have to give a huge shout out to Jim. Thank you, Jim, so much. Jim, if you have any doubts in your mind, any regrets at all of selling this thing to me, just know that I'm very grateful to have it, and it has found a very good home. And there are many people that are going to watch this video that are absolutely going to love the history lesson on it. And Jim, I would highly encourage you, if you want to, leave a comment down below in this video and identify yourself, letting everybody know that you're the original owner of this. I personally will pin your comment. Not to mention, what also makes an original Pepsi Vanilla all that more highly sought after and very rare is that even a modern day Pepsi Vanilla is kind of hard to find and get your hands on. My Aunt Kim from Massachusetts actually had to send me a 12-pack of this stuff personally so I could even do videos like this to this very day. Anyways, enough of the rambling. Let's just get into the taste test. Okay, so right off the very bat, I can absolutely taste that vanilla extract. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but that definitely has a very distinct taste that I've never been able to taste before in the modern day one, and it's very good. But either way, let's go ahead and open up this modern day Pepsi Vanilla, and I'll let you guys know what I think. So far, this is legendary. This is amazing. I can't believe what I'm tasting. I absolutely love it. So crisp. The vanilla extract is definitely there, and it definitely tastes like something that's not in this. Now, here is the modern day Pepsi Vanilla. 1 minute. Let's do a little palate cleanse here. Okay, so based on what I'm tasting, the original one is absolutely fresh, beyond belief. Even though it's old, that vanilla extract is very, very distinctive. Flat, there's no fizz, but it still tastes absolutely amazing. There's definitely nothing that's been harmed to that bottle. I feel like a lot of the old bottles of Pepsi products were made way better than the modern day ones. Let's go ahead and try the modern day Pepsi Vanilla again. Okay, so it still tastes good, no doubt about it. The fizz is good. I want to say that the original one without the fizz, it almost tastes better because there is no fizz. I feel like the fizz sometimes might cause a burning sensation on your taste buds, which could hinder your ability to actually enjoy and to taste the actual flavor that is in a soda. That's the first time I've ever even pointed that out because of how amazing this Pepsi Vanilla original tastes. But yeah, this one still tastes good. Pepsi Vanilla is probably one of my favorite Pepsi items, if not my absolute favorite drink. But make no mistake, they're both very good. This one just tastes just a little bit more artificial than the original one. The vanilla extract that is in this definitely makes this its own entity, without a doubt. Bottoms up. Amazing. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to refill this with modern day Pepsi Vanilla. And this will be worth something, even though it's already opened up. Now, let's chug the rest of this modern day Pepsi Vanilla. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, so that's it. The original Pepsi Vanilla is undoubtedly much better than the modern day one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you share this video with a buddy. And if you did enjoy it, be sure to drop a comment down below to help boost the algorithm. And also, if this is your first time watching Maximus the Fourth, please make sure you check out my video, Black Cherry Cola Soda Shop 2-liter chug, where I take on a 2-liter chug from the 2-liter DOS boot. I will make sure to link that video down in the description of this video. And for other supporting systems, ways to help support this channel, please consider donating. Shout out to Chris Dreyer, one of my absolute best fans. He has just recently donated $45 to this channel. Thank you so much, Chris. Your contribution means the world to me. That was incredibly generous of you. So, with that said, I am Maximus the Fourth, and as always, I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.